Wyoming's state Republican Party has made it official. Following Donald Trump appears to be more important than being a real conservative. They have voted to no longer recognize Congresswoman Liz Cheney as a member of the party. Her second rebuke in less than a year. The resolution, which is effectively a legislative temper tantrum, passed the Wyoming GOP Central Committee by a narrow vote of 31 to 29. Now, despite what you may hear from some, Cheney is actually one of the most conservative lawmakers in Congress today. That is not me judging. Conservative advocacy group Heritage Action scores each member of Congress by how conservative they are, measuring how members vote and what bills they sponsor. They've given Cheney a 96% for the current congressional session. The average House Republican scores a 93%. Now, while Trump was in office, Cheney supported the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, arguably considered the most significant piece of legislation passed during the Trump presidency. She voted for the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, Trump's replacement for NAFTA. She backed a federal ban on abortion after 20 weeks of pregnancy, as well as a bill making concealed carry firearm permits valid across state lines. In 2018, she voted against impeaching Donald Trump. In fact, according to 538, Cheney voted with Trump nearly 93% of the time while he was in office. Meanwhile, Elise Stefanik, who replaced Cheney in House Republican leadership, voted with Trump less than 78% of the time. And it's not like Cheney suddenly begun supporting the Biden agenda. According to 538, Cheney votes with Biden 12% of the time. She voted against the infrastructure package, against the Democrats' efforts on voting rights, against raising the debt ceiling, against Biden's $3.5 trillion budget, against granting D.C. statehood, and strengthening the EPA. Cheney even voted against a waiver allowing Lloyd Austin to become Secretary of Defense, despite voting to grant the same waiver to Trump's first defense secretary, General James Mattis, in 2017. Now, without judging whether she's right or wrong about any of that, the Wyoming GOP seems to want to ignore all of it because she dared vote to impeach the former president after the Capitol riot and continues to criticize Trump's lies about the 2020 election. Now, Wyoming's GOP had already censured Cheney over her criticism of Trump after the January 6th event. She is already facing a primary involving at least 4 challengers, including one already endorsed by the former president. This is all because of Cheney's refusal to cave to Trump. Now, let me be clear. Maybe the people of Wyoming don't want Liz Cheney anymore. Fair enough. That is what elections are for, and that is up to them. If you're in Wyoming, to you. But in the meantime, what is this vote? We reached out to the Republican Party of Wyoming and members of the Wyoming GOP who voted to rebuke Cheney. We either got silence or responses like this from Carbon County Republican Party Chair Joey Carenti IV. I'm sorry, but I do not sign up to be the fodder for liberal media hacks. Mr. Abrams will have to find his patsy somewhere else. So for highlighting the absurdity of the GOP sanctioning someone with a nearly perfect conservative record, that makes me a liberal media hack. Got it. Joining us now to discuss is Dr. Joe McGinley, state committeeman and former chair of the Natrona County Wyoming Republican Party. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. So, have your colleagues gone mad here? I mean, I would just think that the number one issue for the GOP, for your colleagues, would be, does the person vote conservative or not? It seems, though, that they are focused more on total fealty to Donald Trump.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, you really did summarize it well. You don't get more conservative than Representative Cheney. You just don't. She has this pesky thing called a voting record. And really, that's been disturbing to the leadership in the Wyoming Republican Party. That vote this past weekend, that was just showmanship. It's completely irrelevant. The party is losing relevance here in the state, the leadership in the party. And votes like this are why. They're really pushing away the true conservatives, the true Republican voters, who don't want them to speak on their behalf. As you mentioned, the people of Wyoming will vote, and we'll vote in our primary in August, and that's when this decision will be made.
Do you have any sense? I mean, I know there are a lot of people who are very angry at her. Any sense, though, of what her chances are?
Yeah, again, Representative Cheney has an excellent chance here in Wyoming. Are individuals angry? Yes. I mean, you saw that email you received. I want to apologize on behalf of the Republican Party for that message. But There's voters on both sides of this issue. It's one of those things, really. This came up at a time where there was strong emotion. People were disappointed in the national election. In Wyoming, we had the highest voting percentage for President Trump. When President Trump lost that election, people were really disappointed. It was really going to affect our economy. It was going to affect our livelihoods here in this state. Then the issue of the impeachment vote came up, and it sort of piled on that emotion. What we're seeing now, however, and that vote reflected it, it was 31-29. That's fairly close. What we're seeing now are people are getting back to logic. They're saying, who really does represent Wyoming? Who is the best for what our state needs? We're concerned about our natural resources. We're concerned about jobs. We're concerned about taxes. We're concerned about government overreach. These are the topics that need to be discussed. As Republicans, we really believe in our conservative values. We should not be arguing about people. We should be arguing about principles, and we should be arguing about areas that we can actually affect and change.
Well, let me ask you this. Is the party going to try to prevent her from running as a Republican, even if she wins the primary?
Dan, at this point, I guess everything's on the table. I was at the meeting when Representative Cheney was censured a few months ago. I was shocked by that action. The voters selected and elected Representative Cheney. She was our representative. For whether you agree or disagree, you want to support your representative. You want them to be successful for your state, for your community. So trying to undermine them or undermine their ability to do the work of your state just doesn't make sense. This vote this past weekend, again, I was absolutely shocked that this came up again. I thought the topic was settled. The state party shook their fist at Representative Cheney. They made their point. They got their attention. And I thought we had moved on. However, that wasn't the case. That gets back to the leadership, the extremist behavior. It's becoming irrelevant at this point. And the only way that you can get back to it is just keep going back to the same well and seeing if you get lucky again. Unfortunately, this time with the 31-29 vote, we're starting to see fatigue on this matter. Even individuals that don't agree with Representative Cheney, they're starting to get tired of the argument. They're starting to get tired of the topic of discussion. Because again, if you get back to the facts, and the facts are the voting record, Representative Cheney is as conservative as they come.
I don't get this is bananas to me, but we shall see. Joseph McGinley, appreciate you coming on the show. Please send your colleague who wrote me that lovely note a big hello from us.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Have a good evening.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.